Tomorrow's going to be a big test for Gordon Brown as he tries to get his terror bill through the Commons. Has he made a deal with MPs here? Could the DUP be the kingmakers, or could they actually rain on Gordon's parade? Let's go to Westminster and the BBC's correspondent, Joe Cockburn. Joe Cockburn, thanks for joining us. Just how close are things at the moment? What are the latest tallies?
Well, it's safe to say that this vote is on a knife edge. In fact, those earlier predictions last week that came out of Westminster and in government circles, that they were a little more confident that actually the vote was beginning to go their way, that perhaps they had managed to persuade enough rebels in their own party, enough Labour rebels. That seems to have evaporated over the last few days, and there have been various interventions, as there have been throughout this debate. What you have now is a situation where Downing Street has certainly been going into overdrive, with personal calls being made to lists of MPs and meetings taking place involving the Home Secretary, Jackie Smith, and she did a whole round of interviews at the weekend, again trying to push those concessions that have been made by the government to persuade rebels to come round. And also the government whips, the party managers here, are putting it to those rebels that actually this vote could be crucial in terms of loyalty to leadership of Gordon Brown.
And within that context then, how important are these 9 DUP votes? Are people talking about it there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, critical. Could be absolutely critical. At the moment, nobody wants to say which way this vote is going to go. And that's even with all the bluffing and double bluffing that you tend to get with these very close votes. But I really think there is a genuine feeling that they don't know who is going to win on the day. And so those votes from the DUP will be really crucial, beneficial hugely to the government if they in the end vote with them. What's interesting, of course, is that neither side is saying anything publicly about what's being discussed, if anything at all, in terms of a behind-the-scenes deal. But the general impression that you get is the fact that nobody is publicly saying, so the DUP haven't stated their position here at Westminster, and, you know, we're only hours really away from that crucial vote, gives and leaves the impression that actually they could well be bargaining behind the scenes, trying to use their votes for maximum leverage in terms of whatever investment programme may or may not be promised. So there has been talk of, we're not going to say anything until literally 10 minutes before the vote.
Yes, it's interesting because on the face of it, the DUP say they're making their decision based on the security issue, but the fact is they obviously can't make up their minds on that security issue for some reason until 10 minutes before the vote. So there obviously is room there for negotiation. What about the Conservatives? I mean, how concerned are they to try and keep maybe the DUP and others within their camp on this? Well,
of course, they will, again, as politics is always a case of sort of painting impressions, isn't it, for the future. If Cameron is seen as the coming man, then the DUP have to make that calculation too. Not just, as you say, about substance and security, as they might be saying publicly, nor even perhaps that investment that they would obviously dearly like for Northern Ireland. It's also about the future, and if there's going to be a general election in 2 years' time, which there has to be, certainly at the end of that period, and David Cameron were to come into number 10 and Downing Street, you know, this could be seen as one of those votes that might have built that relationship up. So there are an awful lot of calculations, as there always are, when it comes to crucial votes like this, and I'm sure the Conservatives are playing their part in trying to persuade the DUP to vote against the government.
Joe, many thanks for joining us.